Good morning, everyone. Lovely to see you all filtering in. It's wonderful to see all of you here today. Welcome and good morning to another Outcome.Life and Study Melbourne Career Catalyst webinar. Today we're going to be talking about the Skilled Migration Visa and the different options there are with some amazing people, Sarah Leraci, for a Senior Policy Officer, and Damian Marquardt, Senior Project Officer at Jobs, Precincts and Regions Victoria. So we're going to learn all about the Skilled Migration Visa pathways. I believe there's one for the metropolitan area and another one for the regional area. And then we'll have plenty of time to talk about all your questions as well. So it's wonderful to have you here today. And I would also just like to say that, this is an employability webinar for all of our international students from Victoria, which is brought by Study Melbourne. So make sure you check out all the other amazing Career Catalyst services on how you can make yourself more employable. We've got interview workshops, we've got LinkedIn workshops and resume coaching and lots of other things. And always we just want to help you guys to get employed, and that's what today is all about as well. So I'll toss it over to you, Sarah. Wonderful to have you here. Can you kick us off and start telling us a little bit about the Skilled Migration Visa?
Thank you. Yes, I'll just start our presentation. Wonderful. So thanks very much for having us. My name is Sarah Leraci. I'm a Senior Policy Officer with the Victorian Government's Skilled and Business Migration Program. I'd like to just start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting today. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and the Aboriginal elders of other communities who may also be here today. So today we're providing you with an overview on Victoria's Skilled Business and Investor Migration Program. The purpose of the Australian Migration Program is really to facilitate the entry and stay of those who seek to visit, study, work, be reunited with family or obtain protection in Australia. The Commonwealth Government's Department of Home Affairs administers Australia's migration program. However, states and territories do play a role in specific skilled and business visa nomination programs. There are two main types of visas which are granted to facilitate entry and stay into Australia. And those are temporary and permanent visas. So the Department of Home Affairs has set a level of 160,000 permanent migration places for program year 2020-21-22. The 21-22 permanent migration program consists of 4 main streams. So firstly, we have the skilled stream, and this stream is designed to improve the productive capacity of the economy and fill skill shortages in the labour market, including those in regional Australia. Secondly, there is the family stream. So this stream is predominantly made up of partner visas, enabling Australians to reunite with family members from overseas and provide them with pathways to citizenship. Thirdly, there is the special eligibility stream. And this stream covers visas for those in special circumstances, including permanent residents returning to Australia after a period overseas. And then finally, the child stream. So this stream is actually managed outside of the migration program. It's demand driven and it's not subject to a ceiling. So the COVID-19 pandemic obviously has had a really significant effect on Australia's migrations system. And according to the Commonwealth Treasury, approximately 77,000 people are actually forecast to leave Australia in 2021-22. So that's a big impact. The Department of Home Affairs has also continued to process applications and has focused on critical areas that support the national response to and recovery from COVID-19. And the granting of visas for these non-citizens in compelling and compassionate circumstances have also continued to be processed, including the prioritisation of visas for those with an urgent need to travel, including immediate family members of Australian citizens and permanent residents. maintaining the lawful status of non-citizens unable to depart Australia, and also facilitating the entry for individuals providing critical or specialist medical services and other critical skills required to support the national health response to COVID-19, and to also maintain the supply of essential goods and services. So the permanent skilled stream includes the following visa categories. And the first off is the general skilled migration category. And this is for skilled workers who don't have an employer sponsoring them, but do possess desirable skills and attributes and are able to pass the points test. This category does include the skilled independent and also our particular state and territory nominated visas. There are also employer skilled migration pathways for applicants who are sponsored by an employer. This category does include regional employer sponsored visas as well. Thirdly, we have our business skilled migration, which encourages successful business people to settle in Australia and develop new business opportunities. And that is also part of our state and territory nominated visa program. And then lastly, we have the Global and Distinguished Talent Visa programs for individuals who are internationally recognised as outstanding in their field. So here now we come to a little bit more particular about Victoria's Skilled and Business Migration Program. So Victoria offers visa nomination under 2 skilled visas and under all streams of the Business Innovation and Investment Visa. So that includes our Skilled Nominated Permanent Visa, which is the subclass 190, the Skilled Work Regional Provisional Visa, which is the subclass 491, the Business Innovation streams of the subclasses 188 and 888, and also the Investor, Significant Investor and Entrepreneur streams of those 188 and 888 visas as well. So our program approach this year, 2021-22, is to target certain industry sectors and STEM skills. So in Victoria, we're using the state nomination program this year to build the talent pool in sectors of the economy that are expected to be important for future job growth. These are technology-driven sectors of the economy, and they're requiring advanced knowledge. So these are also sectors into which the Victorian government is seeking to attract investment so that these sectors can develop and grow. Having a highly skilled workforce in these sectors is one of the most important ways to help these sectors develop and attract investment. STEM skills are probably the most common skill set amongst these industries, and this is why we have decided to target these skills. So within the program, we're actually targeting up to 240 STEM occupations on the Commonwealth occupation list, which is actually amongst the highest number of occupations targeted by any state. We're also taking advantage of retaining the most outstanding skilled migrants onshore, and this includes graduates, especially graduates. So this doesn't mean that other sectors or occupations are not important to our state. The focus on STEM skills in these target sectors is not the only focus we intend to have. There is more to come. These are currently under development now. And we're actually looking closely at these workforce skills gaps and what we can do in this area in terms of policy development. So we have opened up 2 workforce skills pathways recently so far. One is to support the hospitality industry, and the second is to support the rollout of the 3-year-old kinder program across Victoria. For more information, please visit our workforce skills pathway site on our website, which is the Live in Melbourne website, and make sure that you've subscribed to our news alerts to keep up with the latest news on these exciting pathways. I'll now just comment briefly on our state nomination visa allocations for 2021-22. So this year we have 3,500 subclass 190 places, 500 subclass 491 places, and 1,750 business innovation and investor nomination places. So we request visa allocations based on demand and quality of applicants. This year, we actually asked for an extra 1,000 subclass 190 places because of the high demand and quality of the applicants in our 190 program last year. Also, about 20% of the people that we nominated under the 190 last year were actually living and working in regional Victoria. We also asked for fewer subclass 491 provisional regional visa places because of the demand and quality was not as strong last year. If we see demand and quality increase, we'll request more places. It's important to remember that there are tens of thousands of temporary residents, including graduates in Australia. There are more than 80,000 people on a subclass 485 graduate visa alone. So even if we did have all of the state nomination visa places for Australia, there would still not be enough places to sponsor every person on a temporary visa. So we do make choices and we target the best skills. And finally, I'll just update you on where our nominated skilled migrants and business migrants are coming from. So here you can see the breakdown of the top 5 countries that we see in our skilled and business migration program. And I'd like to also just specifically comment here on international student graduates, specifically in our skilled program. So international student graduates were the most successful applicants for skilled migration last year. And as you can see, there's 70% of our state nominated skilled migrants who hold an Australian qualification. So, our program absolutely does target high caliber international graduates. I'll now hand you over to Damian, who will be able to take you through our program updates. Thanks, Damian.
Great, thanks, Sarah. Hi, everyone. As Sarah said, my name is Damian, and I manage the assessment and client services team here in the Victorian Government for the Skilled and Business Migration Program. So we, our team, we assess all of the applications and respond to all of the inquiries that do come through to us. So yeah, we're a small team, but we do a fair bit of work. So today I'll just provide a bit more detailed information on some of the requirements and assessment considerations for Victorian skilled nomination and provide a bit more detail around what Sarah just outlined in terms of our program. At the bottom of each page, I've also just got little links with some important resources where you can find more information throughout. So if you're at home on your computer and you get a bit bored, you can just either look at our Live in Melbourne website, which has a whole heap of resources, and I've provided some search terms there to point you in the right direction, or the Department of Home Affairs, who manage the visa process. Their page has information as well. It's not as easily accessible as ours, I think, but yeah, some of those search terms might point you in the right direction. So on the screen there, I've listed the main requirements for each of the 2 skilled visas we provide nomination for. The skilled work regional, the subclass 491, so that's for people living and working in regional Victoria, and also the skilled nominated visa, the subclass 190. So yeah, having a look down the list of requirements there, you can see that the primary difference between the 491 and the 190, as they're commonly referred to, is the 491 is focused on people who are already living and working in regional Victoria, and the skilled nominated visa is for anyone. You can be working and living in regional Victoria, but it applies to everyone in the state of Victoria. There are higher points requirements for the skilled nominated visa, and it is more competitive, and it does provide permanent residence immediately, whereas the skilled work regional, the subclass 491, does provide a pathway to permanent residence after a number of years of living and working in regional Victoria. So during the rest of the time, I will talk in more detail about some of the requirements there, including STEM, the target sectors that we have in Victoria, which are a little bit different to some of the other kind of industry sector classifications that you might hear. I'll talk about occupations and the employment requirement for Victorian state nomination. I will start by providing some information on the application process for Victorian state nomination. And then at the end, I will just provide a little bit of information about our business innovation and investment program. It might be applicable to some of you as well. And then Sarah and I are happy to answer any questions you might have at the end. Next slide. Thanks, Sarah. So I'll now talk about the application process for Victorian state nomination. On the slide that's coming up, I've just got a little flow chart of just the application process, I guess, from the client side or from your side, the applicant side. The blue boxes across the middle there, they are Victorian stages, so where you might interact with us, and then the white boxes at the top and the bottom there, steps in the process that are governed or managed by the Department of Home Affairs, so where you might have interaction with the Department of Home Affairs. As Sarah said, Department of Home Affairs manage the visa, and we just provide nomination for that visa. No, there won't be any information on the 189 today. That is a skilled independent program. Today, we're just talking about the 190 and the 491. So I just saw that little chat pop up in the bottom. So yeah, first step, if you are interested to apply, that's okay. If you are interested to apply for Victorian Skilled Nomination, your first step is to submit an expression of interest with Skills Select. That's that first box there. This is the Department of Home Affairs system they use for all skilled migration. In this expression of interest, you will be required to include information on your English ability, your qualifications, your work experience, and some other kind of bona fide or information about your identity and things like that, just to kind of establish your account there. Following that, once you've made your expression of interest with Skills Select, you can visit our Live in Melbourne website and create a login for our customer portal. This then allows you to submit a registration of interest for Victorian nomination. So you're kind of just saying to us, hey, I'm interested in obtaining Victorian nomination. In this registration of interest, you will be required to provide information about your employment, including your employer and what your main tasks are. I will go into a bit more information about the requirements later, but you will also need to describe how you use your STEM skills to contribute to one of our target sectors. Again, I will talk a bit more about that. So after we have received your registration of interest, we're now on the second blue box along. We do evaluate all of the registrations of interest. So we read each one and read about your contributions and what you do in your work. And then we select the best candidates to apply for Victorian nomination. So Sarah mentioned the 21-22 program. So the migration program is run over a financial year period. So it does commence from the 1st of July. And since the 1st of July this year, we have received over 5,500 registrations of interest so far. So these are people living and working in Victoria. They might be graduates, they might be people on temporary work visas or any other sort of visa. But yeah, so there's a lot of interest in our program because it does provide permanent residence and the ability to work here in Victoria or continue to work. As Sarah mentioned earlier, we have been allocated 3,500 of these subclass 190 places by the Department of Home Affairs and 500 subclass 491. So that's the regional visa for this year. Obviously, we've got already more interest than places available and we can't invite everyone. So we do have quite a competitive program. So when we assess your registration of interest, we do so based on the STEM skills that you have, the employment that you hold or that you're currently working in, and what your individual contributions are to that work and that target sector. Following that, we then rank candidates based on their Home Affairs Skill Select points and invite the highest ranking candidates at the time. So in your expression of interest in that top white box there, when you make that with the Department of Home Affairs, you will be given a certain number of points based on some requirements. That number of points is then used by us to invite the best candidates who submit a registration of interest with us. So following that, we then will select the best ranking candidates who will then be invited to apply for Victorian nomination. So you can submit a registration of interest with us at any time this program year, or this financial year, after you've made that expression of interest with us with Home Affairs. We do invite people periodically throughout the year. So every 2 to 4 weeks, we will issue a whole a round of invitations, and then from there you can submit your nomination application. If your registration of interest is not selected, immediately, so you might apply it today, and if you're not selected in 2 weeks or 4 weeks, it will remain in the pool under consideration by us for the rest of the program year until the end of June 2022, so next year. We won't notify you if your registration of interest is not successful, just because it does sit with us under consideration, and it depends on your competitiveness throughout the year as to whether you will receive an invitation or not in that round. So you will be ranked against all the other candidates at the time. So you might have quite high points, but there might be a lot of people with higher points. Obviously, we'll invite them, and then next time, your points might be more competitive, and you might receive an invite. So that's how we do run the process. Last year, for instance, we did invite a lot of people that had submitted very early on in the year, and they got an invitation late in the year as well. So yeah, I do encourage you, if you are interested in this program, to submit a registration of interest with us, and just wait. Great. Next slide, please, Sarah, where I'll talk about some of the STEM skills. So you might have seen STEM usually with one M. We do have STEM with a double M, and that second M is medicine. So it is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine. I'll just go through, I guess, each of those in a little bit of detail, just to kind of, provide a bit more information as to kind of what we see as STEM. I can't provide a complete list of all of the different STEM qualifications or skills, but I can outline some of the common ones under each field, which I'll do now. And it might be relevant to a lot of you listening today who are still studying or have just finished studying. So science, this may include general qualifications in science, agricultural science, veterinary science, or applied science. It may also include specialist qualifications in, for example, chemistry, physics, biology, biomedical science, forensic science, zoology, marine science, environmental science, or astronomy. Technology. So technology may include general qualifications in information technology, computing or computer science. It may also include specialist qualifications in, for example, cybersecurity, game design and development, data analytics, data science, software development, or robotics and artificial intelligence. Engineering, this may include general engineering qualifications. It may also include specialist qualifications in, for example, civil, mechanical, aeronautical, electrical, materials engineering or chemical engineering, mechatronics, telecommunications, or environmental engineering. So, you might have a bachelor in engineering, or you might have a master in, a master's in mechanical engineering as an example. So. All right, mathematics. So this may include general qualifications in science or applied mathematics. It may also include specialist qualifications in, for example, statistics, econometrics, data science, or data modeling. And then finally, medicine. This may include general qualifications in medicine, nursing, or public health. It may also include specialist qualifications in, for example, physiotherapy, psychology, midwifery, nutrition, speech pathology, audiology, social work, paramedicine, or radiology. So that's kind of, I guess, the broad principles of STEM. And as I said, that's not an exhaustive list. So if I have mentioned something and you are outside of that, that is just kind of guidance. And if you have qualifications in something else, then I just encourage you to either submit an inquiry to us, and we'll have information on how you can do that at the end, or just do a bit more research on STEM. I'll just touch briefly on Yeah, I can talk about that later, Deepak, that question. So that's a good one. We do receive a lot of inquiries about business or accountancy skills and occupations. In general, we don't really see accountancy, business, finance, or commerce qualifications as STEM, even if they are at the master's level. We understand that people working as an accountant, you may have other qualifications that assist you to perform your role as an accountant, such as a STEM degree in mathematics or econometrics, for example. You might be dual qualified, so you might have a Bachelor of Engineering and a Bachelor of Accountancy. We do encourage you to put as much information as possible in your registration of interest to describe your STEM skills and what qualifications you might hold that will support your contribution to one of those target sectors. Great. Next slide, please. I will talk about the Victorian target sectors. Okay, great. So I'll start just by talking about some of the occupations. Sarah touched on this in her overview at the beginning. So the Department of Home Affairs visa programs for the skilled program and for ours as well are occupationally based, in that the Department of Home Affairs publish a list of occupations that are eligible for skilled visas. There are a number of occupation lists that the Department of Home Affairs use. To know whether your occupation is eligible or not, it is best to visit the Department of Home Affairs website, or if you're still unable to determine which occupation you fit in, where your skills and work fits, I would encourage you to see a professional migration agent for advice as well. I do have some information at the bottom there, so you can go to the Department of Home Affairs website and search for occupations under 190 or occupations 491. They do have a handy occupation finder. For the occupation that you are in, or that you have qualifications for, you will need to have your skills assessed by the relevant skill assessing authority. This is just to say that you are qualified to do that occupation, and it is the way that you demonstrate to us and to the Department of Home Affairs what your occupation is. Again, the skill assessing authorities, there are different skill assessing authorities for each occupation, or not each occupation, like a group of occupations, and that information can be found on the Department of Home Affairs website as well. So to be eligible for Victorian nomination, you must have a skills assessment for a nominated occupation that is on the relevant Department of Home Affairs skilled occupation list. So for the subclass 190, that is the medium and long-term strategic skills list, which is the MLT SSL. So that's one occupation list that the Department of Home Affairs have said is eligible for 190 nomination, and also the short-term skilled occupation list, or the STSOL. That between those two lists, there's over 500 occupations that are eligible under the subclass 190 visa program. Sarah mentioned a list of 240 or so occupations. They're ones that we've identified as being mostly skilled, mostly STEM, and requiring STEM skills or qualifications to do those. For the subclass 491, there's an expanded list of occupations, and it does include those two lists already, as well as the regional occupation list, or the role, the ROL. I will just mention that the Priority Migration Skilled Occupation List, the PIMSOL, which is getting a lot of media attention and at the moment, and this is a occupation list that is published by the Department of Home Affairs. This occupation list does only relate to visa processing and border exemption requirements. It doesn't relate to eligibility or priority for the Victorian State Nomination Program. I just want to be clear on that, because it does get a lot of attention. Also, as outlined on the slide, for Victorian nomination, you must be working one of the listed target sectors on the right-hand side of the screen there. For more information on each of the target sectors, including some examples of the work in these target sectors, we do have a dedicated target sector page to assist you on our Live in Melbourne website. The one or two examples we have provided on this page are guidance examples only and are not the strict definition of the sector. As an example, for advanced manufacturing, the sector does include much more than defence or aerospace, and we just provided these as an illustration of those sectors. What we're looking for here really is that you provide information about how your employment contributes to one of these sectors. For example, if you're working in a manufacturing facility as an engineer, where your work involves you using technology to automate certain aspects of the manufacturing process, that could be considered working in the advanced manufacturing sector. Again, I can't provide a complete list of all these different scenarios, and it is best if you just provide as much information as you can in your registration of interest. The target sector you choose relates to what sector your employment is in. So as an example, if you're working as a developer, a software developer for a hospital, you should select the health sector because that's the sector that you're working in, rather than the digital sector, which is more akin to what your skills are. It is possible that your work fits into more than one sector. So, for example, you may work as a food technologist, which is one of the occupations, in a nutritional food and supplements company, as an example. And it is possible here that you might fit under the agri-food sector, or you might fit under the life sciences sector. In cases like this, just choose either sector. That's fine. And if we're in doubt, we may look to your employer to see which sector you're working in. Great. Cool. I will just, if you do have any questions, just put them in the Q&A. I see them pop up, and I won't answer them because I realize that it's going against Anja's efforts to make sure you put them in the Q&A. So do put them in the Q&A and we will answer them at the end. So great. Next slide, please, Sarah. So I'll just talk about the employment and work experience requirement. So a key requirement of Victorian state nomination is that you are currently living and working in Victoria at the time of application. So you must be working in a nominated occupation. So example, if you're an engineer, you must be working in an engineering role. There's no minimum requirement for how long you've been working in this role to apply for Victorian nomination, but you must already be working in the role and have evidence to prove this. So we do require a range of documents such as your contract of employment, a current position description that outlines what you're doing, what your tasks are, your most recent payslip, and your most recent superannuation statement or a transactions summary showing contributions from your current employer. When we assess your application, if we do have any concerns about your employment, we may ask you for more documents, or we may contact the employer directly to verify your employment. So yeah, we do see some applications where people, I guess, are a little, they do make some claims that aren't substantiated, and we do try to investigate those, or we do investigate those. So you must be employed in a target sector to be eligible. If you have a skills assessment but are not working, but you're working in a different occupation, your registration of interest won't be selected for consideration. So an example of this is, let's say you have a skills assessment as an engineer, and you have the qualifications, but you're currently working as a cook. In cases like this, you're not eligible for Victorian nomination because you have to be working in that occupation that you have the skills assessment for. It is a requirement that you must be living and working in Victoria at the time of submitting your registration of interest and your application. For those of you who have graduated from a Victorian university, or you're still you're still studying, you can submit your registration of interest provided that you're working already in one of those target sectors. As I said, there's no minimum employment experience, and you must be currently living and working in Victoria. If you're still completing your studies, yeah, you just have to be working. As I said, I've repeated that a few times, but that is a requirement. And it is a question we receive a lot through our inquiry channels for international students. You must be already working in a role in Victoria that is consistent with your occupation and your skills assessment. Great. All right, Sarah, I think next slide, I'll just talk very briefly about our Business Innovation and Investment Program. So as Sarah mentioned, this is another part of the program that Victoria offers state nomination for. So we have the Skilled program, which I've outlined, the two visas, the 190 and the 491, and then we've got the Business Innovation and Investor Program. So we do provide nomination under these 4 different streams. I'll just quickly go through the streams. So there's 3 columns there, but the middle one refers to 2 different streams. So the 4 streams are the business innovation stream. So this is for business migrants with business experience that have an innovative business proposal that they would like to start or continue here in Victoria. Now, I mention this because we have had some international students and graduates come through this visa stream. So for instance, they were running a business while they were studying or just as they finished studying, and then they have applied and come through this stream as well. In the middle there, I've got information on the investor and significant investor streams. These are our 2 investor visas. These are for high net worth individuals with 2.5 million Australian dollars and $5 million to invest in Australian complying investments, which comprises of a mix of venture capital, emerging companies, and other managed funds. You know, good on you. If you've got that much money, you're welcome, and you're a student, you're welcome to apply through these programs as well. And then the final one is the entrepreneur visa. So this is for startup and early stage entrepreneurs. This visa stream has been newly changed by the Department of Home Affairs, and we are working on our policy settings for this at the moment. We aren't currently open to new applications, and we expect to be able to provide more information in the coming months on this visa program. It is an exciting new program that we're working closely with the Victorian startup ecosystem and discussing with the major startup accelerators here in Victoria. We do expect that once it is open, students will comprise a key cohort of applicants under this stream. So I've just put that information there as well. So again, call out to subscribe to our news, which you can find at the bottom of any page on the Live in Melbourne website. There's a little subscribe tab. And yeah, when we do have more information about the entrepreneur stream, we will put out some news. Great, so that's an overview and a bit of detail into Victorian Skilled Migration Program. And yeah, thanks. So there's just some links there. Again, the contact us link is your best point of call. If you have any further inquiries after this session that we're not able to respond to, just submit an inquiry and it'll come through to me and my team, and we'll get back to you. So great, and yeah, we're happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks Damian. And I'm Domenic, everyone, from Outcome.Life, and I'm very excited about the Entrepreneurs Visa, and we will hopefully be assisting students with that once it does open up. So look out for that. That sounds very exciting. We've got heaps of questions. There's over 20. Actually, there's 35 of them now. My goodness. Hopefully, most of these are very quick, short answers. So, and remember, this is being recorded. So if anyone does feel as though they've missed out on something, you will be able to get the recording later. But let's try and fly through these. And either of you, Sarah or Damian, you're welcome to answer them, but we'll get through them as quickly as we can. Okay, I've completed my bachelor's degree in civil engineering. Then I was appointed a lecturer at the same engineering university. My question is, which profession should I select when I apply for the educational assessment?
Yep, I'll take that one. Look, I can't say specifically which one you should choose. That is, you know, migration advice. I'm not able to provide migration advice. I would encourage you, yeah, if you do need further information on that, to just see a migration agent. In general, the university lecturer occupation is you can either, if you are a university lecturer, you can either proceed down the occupation of a university lecturer as a recognized university lecturer, or you can proceed down the path of of an engineering professional, whatever other professional. So I'm pretty sure that generally either of those occupations is are usually on the occupation lists and are reflective of the skills that you do have as both an educator and a practitioner. So yeah.
Cool. Next one was, what's the time frame? I presume for getting back to once you've lodged the ROI.
Yep, I'll take that one as well. So as I said, there's not it's not a specific time frame. So as I said, your registration of interest will be valid, I guess, for the whole year until June. We do, as I said about the selection process, we do take the best candidates, and we do have more information on our program review page about the type of, the score, the point score that is competitive in each of the sectors. If it's not there currently, it will be very shortly. We're just making updates to that page. So you can just search, program review on our Live in Melbourne page. So yeah, and look, yeah, I can't give a time frame as such. It just does depend on how competitive your points are. So
cool. Okay. Yep. Next one, I'm graduating in June 22 in a Bachelor of Hotel and Resort Management. Respect. That's what I did as my first degree too. Then I became an accountant, which I didn't like. And just like this person, they're looking to, oh, it's disappeared now off my screen. I'm thinking of changing my career and studying a diploma of nursing. My question is it better to continue to temporary visa first or go straight to studying?
Look, that's very much a personal. That's really much up to you, anonymous attendee. Yeah, that's something that you're going to have to weigh up with each of the different options that are available. We have, as a Victorian government, we have state nomination for the 190 and the 491 visa. Best to just inform yourself as much as possible what the different options are and how they'll benefit you and your migration and career journey. But yeah, I can't tell you what to do with that one. But yeah, best to just see what's available to you. Sarah, did you?
Yeah, no. Just to add to that, I think there are a lot of questions around personal migration journeys or career journeys, and unfortunately, we can't provide any migration advice to you. However, there are some really excellent resources out there where you can go in and you can find a registered migration agent or lawyer specialising in immigration. One is the OMARA website, and that's a Commonwealth website. So if you Google OMARA, OMARA, that's the Office of the Migration Agents Registration Office or something. I always forget the acronym, but basically every registered migration agent in Australia will be listed on that page. And yeah, we would really recommend you to go and see a registered migration agent or lawyer to discuss any options you might have, and that they'll be able to really provide you with some specialised advice to your circumstances. So I think that's what we would just generally advise you to do.
Cool. And also to Study Melbourne is there for you. They provide some tremendous services, legal services, and for some general queries to give you a bit of a pointer of where to go to ask you questions. So feel free to reach out to them as well. Another one, am I eligible to have state nomination under STEM if I'm doing a PhD in medical research?
Yeah, so medical research is firmly under STEM. That would fit under or science. Gee, that was a test. That would fit under science. So if you're doing a PhD, I will just re-emphasize the point that that if you are doing a PhD, you've just got to make sure that you are working as well. So you might be employed part-time or casually as a research assistant. For instance, you will need to get a skills assessment to kind of verify that you do have the skills as a research assistant, or I don't know what kind of situation you're in, your employment status, but we do require you to be employed. We do see a lot of PhD candidates, so that they're still completing their PhD. I say still, I've never done a PhD, well done to all of you. It seems like a lot of work. But yeah, if you are doing your PhD, you do have to ensure that you are still that you are employed, and yeah, the PhD and scholarships that you might receive for doing your PhD, they aren't considered employment or remuneration. They are still considered as part of your completion of your PhD study. So it's only if you are also engaged in employment, whether it's a research assistant or you're doing fully fledged research as well, and you are employed and remunerated for that work that you do, that you will be eligible under the Victorian State Nomination Program.
Cool, and I think this one's related. Do we need to have work experience before we can apply for the Skilled Migration Visa subclass 189?
So the subclass 189 is the skilled independent. So as I mentioned to someone very early on, we're not providing any information on that because that's not something that the Victorian government has any involvement in. If the question was about the 190 visa and whether they need work experience to apply for the 190 visa, the answer is no. So there's no minimum work experience requirement. You must just be employed in your occupation, and it can be you could have just got the job a week ago or 2 months ago, or you could have been in the job for 2 years, and you still would be eligible. So.
Okay, and can STEM skills be considered while working in the retail sector?
So yeah, that goes to the point I made around you have to be employed in your nominated occupation. So let's say you have STEM skills and I don't know, you're an engineer and you are working in the retail sector. You wouldn't be eligible under that circumstance because you do need to be employed in the occupation that you have been recognised for or assessed for. So yeah, if you're so and the retail sector isn't one of our target sectors that we have. So the target sectors that I had listed, and it's available on our website as well. We've got agri-food, advanced manufacturing, health, medical research, life sciences, digital, focusing at the moment on cybersecurity and digital games. And new energy and emissions reduction and circular economy, that's a sector as well. So retail isn't in one of those sectors. So if you have STEM skills and you are working in the retail sector in your nominated occupation, unfortunately we aren't targeting the retail sector. So yeah.
Okay. Deepak asks, data science, data analytics has no skill code. Where do we go to get these skills assessed?
Yeah, it's a really great question, Deepak, and that's kind of one of the areas that the Department of Home Affairs have recognised isn't available. There is some good information on the Department of Home Affairs website around data analyst occupation, so you can just do a search on their website. But from memory, and Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, it does come under the Occupation of Information and Organisational Professionals, NEC, which is an occupation in itself. And it's best if you do find that information on the Department of Home Affairs website. It is a specific area that they have addressed about data analysts and data scientists coming in under the Occupation Information and Organisational Professionals, NEC. So
yeah, that's my understanding too. However, we just things can change really quickly in this space, and because that's not really a space that we play in a lot, I would advise you just to double check with the Department of Home Affairs website to get the most up-to-date information.
Here's a really good one by Gustavo. Being a Facebook business manager dealing with big data, Tableau, Google, AdWords, is that included in the field of digital?
Facebook business manager. So it depends on what your occupation is. In terms of the type of work that you're doing, in terms of data analytics, data analysis, etc. It just depends on your occupation. In general, so when it comes to the digital sector, as I said before, we are at the moment targeting specifically cybersecurity and digital games as employment that fits within that sector. let's say you were Facebook, I don't know, business manager for a company that was, in one of those other sectors, so I don't know, you're doing data analysis for, I don't know, an agri-food company, let's say a grain producer out in regional Victoria. You would then be considered under the agri-food sector rather than the digital sector. So it does depend on, where your employment is, which sector your employment is based in. So yeah, I can't quite give you a straight answer on that one because I don't know a lot of the information, this is a lot of the detail, but yeah.
And Damian, to your point, a lot of these questions are very, very specific to your unique situation. So you're probably best to get someone to consider your situation directly by speaking to someone who knows a lot about this. It's a little bit difficult for us to do this in this forum. So for a couple of you that are asking really specific questions about yourself, we're probably going to skip those and go to the most general ones. So that we can help as many people as possible. So here's one. I think it's pretty, it's disappeared. I think it's reasonably obvious. Is aged care considered under the health sector? I would have thought so.
Yes.
Will we be getting this recording afterwards? Yes, you will. That's another good one. I like that one. I don't know, Sarah and Damian, maybe if you have a flick through, because there's still 35 there, probably better if you pick out a couple that's going to help as many people as possible, all at the same time. So maybe have a bit of a look.
I might just stop sharing this then. Yeah. Come back to the screen.
So Keval, will target sectors change over time? Sarah, do you want to address that one?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, so absolutely there's a possibility of our target sectors changing. Also, we're doing a lot of development around the workforce skills pathways, which are, I mentioned that there's currently two, one for early childhood teachers and the other one for chefs and cooks in sort of the hospitality workforce. So yeah, we're always really open to understanding more about what sectors are available, and what sectors we should be targeting essentially. So I would definitely advise you to sign up to our website. That's where we always post the most up-to-date information. So if you ever want updates from us, head to our Live in Melbourne website. That's where we'll be announcing everything as soon as it's able to be announced.
And I just want to make a quick point too, that we get asked a lot about, well, we know that we have to get a job in our field of study, but how do we get that first job here in Australia? Because that's really difficult. And we know that that is a big issue. And so Study Melbourne and Outcome.Life, I mean, this is what we do all the time. But a couple of quick things that everyone should make sure that they're doing. Make sure you have a LinkedIn. In Australia, it's often even more important than your resume. Make sure that you are active on LinkedIn so that people can notice you. Consider doing an internship. Consider going to regional Victoria. I've been chatting with people in Bendigo, Echuca, Mildura. I was up in Mildura for a couple of days before the lockdown. They have got so many jobs up there, especially for engineers, that they simply cannot fill. And they're looking for anyone who genuinely does want to go up there and live there. And that will help you to get a couple of extra points for going regional. So there is a lot that you can do. And we've posted a link to some of the other webinars that we run on behalf of the good folk at Study Melbourne about how you can improve your chances of getting that very first job in your field of study. And we all encourage you to come along and have a chat with us and participate in those things, because that's going to make it a lot easier for you. So hopefully that's given you a bit of time, Sarah and Damian, perhaps to just answer a couple of good questions that's going to help multiple people.
I can see there's one about, is there any support available through Victorian Government or Outcome.Life to help pre-assess applications for the Global Talent Visa, which is the Global Talent Independent Visa, which is known as the GTI, to advise that the candidate is a right fit to formally apply. So we don't really have any, well, we don't have any any sort of participation in the GTI stream. It's very interesting stream, and we're looking at it with great interest, but unfortunately that doesn't really fit into our Skilled and Business Migration Program remit. However, if you do sort of have options down that stream, direct those questions to the Department of Home Affairs. And I think there's a pre-form that you can fill out on their GTI website. And there's a lot of good information on their website in regards to the Global Talent Independent.
Yeah, and we don't specifically do anything in that area either. We're more about, helping internationals get into internships to increase their chances of converting that to a job. There's one there by Chris Lee. My question is, can a relevant internship, paid or unpaid, count towards working in a student's nominated profession?
Yeah, that one goes more to, I guess, the points calculation for the Department of Home Affairs points that you might get for work experience. Again, that's not something that we can have any information on, and that's probably something that's best handled by a migration agent to just give you some more information around the points calculation. In general, again, it is there's no minimum work experience requirement for for applicants to apply. So if you are working in any capacity, then you are eligible to apply for Victorian nomination.
And I think the more important point about that is that a lot of people, by doing an internship, often convert that into a paid job, either with the host company or with someone else in the same field. So therefore, my very general answer would be yes, as long as there's continued employment for when you put your application in. So I think that would be a yes with conditions.
Yep. There's one question there that I just want to respond to. So it is so there's two questions. There's one around the assessment criteria different for the workforce skills pathway. The answer to that is yes. Again, best to just search on the Live in Melbourne website workforce skills pathway, and we have a dedicated page to the two pathways that we have. One of them is hospitality for chefs and cooks. At the moment, the second one is for early childhood educators, which is for the occupation early childhood teacher. I believe that's what it's called. Yep. And so they are different. So all that talk I mentioned about the STEM and target sectors, they do not apply for applicants under the workforce skills pathway. So for chefs and cooks and for early childhood teachers, there are still the other minimum requirements. So you must still be working and living in Victoria, and you must be obviously working in your nominated occupation. And then there's all those other requirements such as English language, skills assessment, age. I think that's, and there might be one or two others just to check the website. But so it's just workforce skills pathway. STEM does not apply, and neither does working in those target sectors, but you still must be working in your occupation.
Yeah. And I think another thing would be is to, you probably understood through this presentation by Sarah and Damian that, the Victorian government is hell-bent on getting as many of you becoming residents of this fantastic state. And so, it may sound difficult, but if you go and get some very specific help and someone that will consider you specifically, you'll find that it's easier than you think. And we want terrific, young, healthy, educated, bright people to join us here in Victoria. So we encourage all of you to have a look at it and see which bit is relevant to you and go out and get some independent help, and that will give you the best chance of success. So we've probably come to the end of our webinar, Anja. So if you want to...
I was about to say, thank you guys so much for all of your questions. We will be sending out the slides and the recording after the webinar in the next little bit. You will also be able to watch this back on Facebook Live if you can't wait for us to send you the recording. We've got, a lot of amazing questions. I'll also, in the email out to everyone, make sure to include some of those links that we've talked about, the Mara website, the Living in Melbourne website, the Home Affairs website, all of those important links will be included for you as well, so that you can go and do that further research as well. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much, Sarah and Damian, for your time today and sharing all these amazing insights, which I know our students have really appreciated. Thank you, Study Melbourne, for making all of this possible. And make sure you go out and check out Career Catalyst website to access all the amazing services that we've got lined up. We've also got another webinar coming up in 3 weeks on where we're chatting with Reset Hub about how to structure remote working or interning in a way that'll have you smashing out tasks and nailing projects. From big changes to small habits, we'll tackle all the fundamental behaviors and attitudes that can help you succeed in remote working. So that's going to be an exciting one too. But yeah, thank you again so much, Damian and Sarah. This has been absolutely amazing webinar, and thank you all for attending. Have an amazing day.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks. See you.
Bye.